What's good, YouTube? Back with another video. In today's video, we'll be discussing prop firm challenges, how to pass in general. In my case, we passed it in 2 days. I mentioned this in the last video. When it comes to prop firm challenges in general, I'm very aggressive. I want to get in and out of the prop firm challenge space as fast as possible. We want to have a strategy, but more importantly, something that you can maintain. That strategy for me, knowing when to get in, when to exit, having key levels of liquidity, targets that, more often than not should get hit, and then just having a strategy in place that allows you to manage risk. So I'm going to discuss today my journey with Topstep X. I mentioned this in the last video. I wanted to take prop firms to the next level, and I think I can do that with Topstep X. I love that everything is integrated. You have the ability to trade on TradingView, which is my preferred platform. But let's get into the accounts. You have 3 different options: a 50K account, a 100K account, 150K account. And these are your prices: $49, $99, $149. Have your profit target: 3,000, 6,000, 9,000. It's going to show you your max position size, and more importantly, because I've spoken about this, your maximum loss. So that is your account size. I tell people all the time, it is not a 50K, it is not a 100K, it's not a 150K, no matter what it shows you on the screen, because if it were that amount, then you could lose that amount. So essentially, your maximum loss limit is your account. You have $2,000 for a 50K, so that's what I decided to move forward with. Just keep that in mind, because if you view it like that, then your strategy can be implemented in a way to where you can a lot more efficiently manage your risk and your reward, so to speak, but specifically for challenges. So let's get into our first day trading. We had started this account Wednesday night. So with that being said, if you know, we're trading Asian session, because technically 6 o'clock moving forward is the start of the next trading day. So although this is a Wednesday, these trades counted for the 22nd. And so immediately, I'm just marking up my charts here. We are in a trade. I'm just showing you the thought process around it. My strategy mainly consists of targeting key levels. I have set my stop loss $500 some. Essentially, I want a 1 to 3. And with the 50K account, 3,000 target, I do this every single time. I'm going to put my target at 1,530. That's going to account for a little bit of commissions. And that's just to make sure we're over that, at least over that 1,500 target. So we were at a $500 something stop loss, and then we moved it to break even. But then I thought about it, because I've mentioned this before. A lot of people have the whole TP or stop loss mentality. I want to still keep some of the same mentality I had with Take Profit Trader. So I instantly said, I'm getting out of this trade nothing less than 1,000. It is nothing to get the remaining of, let's just say I got stopped out right then, at the $1,500 trade. That's easy money. But as you can see, we were in a trend here to the upside. My bias, I knew this eventually would come down to some of the lower levels. An Asian session, it consolidated, it did trend up, but eventually that following morning, the market tanked. This is our next trading day. So this would count for the 23rd, but I also traded London session again. So now we're in this trade. I noticed that we had a bear flag. So I'm looking at this on the 15-minute, which appeared to be forming a bear flag. If you're not familiar with it, then it's essentially just showing a pattern that may result in eventual move to the downside. So we're moving back to the 5-minute here, because if you were looking at it in this one, you would say like, man, it kind of looks like it could be a potential bear flag, but in the 15-minute, a lot more detailed, so to speak. I practically wanted to at least target the lower level of this 15-minute bear flag setup. And we were in this trade pretty good. And this trade I was very confident in. We ended up hitting that goal. And the crazy thing about this trade, look at this. If I was in a real funded challenge or a funded account, this thing went down like crazy. You see the top of that trend line up there. Essentially before that green candle, I kid you not, that could have been $5, $7, $8, $9,000. That's neither here nor there, but again, just kind of looking at some of the strategy, we're talking about key levels. So I kind of already felt that the bias was to the downside. I was looking at our pattern and where we were at previously as we ended New York sessions trading, and then we resumed at 6 o'clock. That was my bias, and it actually, not only was it correct, it would have been crazy. I just had to get out, like I said, and the move that I had was a decent move, but 1,500 is all you can make, you know, as you're trying to get to the profit target, because you have to have the 50% consistency rule, and more importantly, if you're in a funded account, that's a big move. So I'm looking at key levels of liquidity. Again, the pattern is not to say that because you see any type of formation chart wise that it has to do that, but it serves as a little bit extra confirmation. You want to check multiple time frames. Like I said, on the 5-minute, it may not have looked as clean as it did on the 15-minute, but it was very obvious, a bear flag on the 15-minute. But more importantly, just knowing, if you see here on the chart, some of these demand levels, it is going to key levels of liquidity. It doesn't just randomly move on a chart. If you think of anything, whether you're on a minute time frame, if you start, for anybody, and start looking at the 5-minute, start looking at the 15-minute, start looking at the hour, and even potentially the 4-hour. When you start to see key levels where we've had a lot of support and resistance, whether we've had, you know, supply and demand, and that's essentially just saying reaction off of these key levels, those serve as targets. You hear people talk about 1 to 5s, 1 to 4s. You don't need all of that. It's like a pie, and we literally want a piece of the pie. And when you have that mentality, you know targets that this should go to more often than not, and manage it accordingly. Just because you have a take profit doesn't necessarily mean that it is take profit or mile stop loss. Why? Even the same thing, even though, again, mentality that I said with take profit trader, you don't have to worry about now your trailing drawdown. But why? But if I'm up $1,000 and I want to say, because I wanted it to get to 1,500, that means I should let it come back down to break even or even a loss. So some of the mentality that I had with trading the take profit route, it's the same. I want to take profit. I want to actually let these trades play out, but we want to trail. So we want to get out of these trades with profit. We want to, of course, see that your plan, your strategy is correct, hitting these targets, but it's not always the case. So again, that's just some of the mentality around how I'm able to get through these challenges. Just knowing, treating every account size, your end of day drawdown, your total max loss as your account size. Have your risk. In my case, like I said, I'm dealing with minis, but you can do the same thing with micros. Just know, and especially that's one thing I like, the drag and drop, you know, feature with Topstep. You can easily drag, drop for your loss, your break even, your take profit, and kind of essentially know where you need to be. So just even looking at this again, this is kind of the zone that I was speaking on. We have this demand zone. There's a line on the lower level because the bottom of this zone, there's 2 levels here that literally we're seeing reaction off of this first zone here. And if this were me, I potentially would probably look at another move to the upside. But like I said, looking at this crazy drop to the downside, you're likely going to get a lot of consolidation, but you could potentially start to look for a move here, maybe set your stop loss at the break when this candle forms at the break, or even slightly lower than this bullish candle, and target where we actually broke through those 2 wicks here in the middle, or even the 50% of this big red candle. So again, it's always about levels. But keep in mind, we could potentially go to this lower level. And if we were, re-entries are not a negative thing. You know, that's still, to me, great risk to reward. And that's what it boils down to. So let's move on. This is one thing I like about Topstep X. You're able to manage, on this dashboard here, as we're gonna see the 2 trades on average, 32 minutes is what we had in totality for our average trade time. Like I said, sometimes it's quicker and sometimes it's around that. It may even take longer, but literally 22nd and 23rd for trading days, 1 trade, it closed to the T, the exact amount, 1,521.60. Hey, we've passed. So I've noticed that you have access to these stats when this account is active. There is a period of time afterwards, however, that account will be closed and you no longer have access to the Topstep X platform because you now need to go to the next aspect, which we'll get into right now. We're talking about some of the benefits. Request a payout after accumulating 5 winning days of 200 or more. Pay yourself up to 50% of your profits, up to 5,000 with each request, and 100% after accumulating 30 winning days. So again, we're talking about scaling. I can see that being a benefit, and I think at that point you likely would get moved to live. So we'll see. We're not there yet, but we'll keep you updated on the journey. And that's one of the things I wanted 100% to do with prop firms moving forward. Just take it a lot more serious, see how much we can, scale these things up, how many accounts we can scale, and just have a lot more organization. But that is essentially what we're looking at, guys. So it's a mentality that we want to not only get through our challenge phase, we want to get to a funded space, but you do have to have a strategy in place that is going to allow you to act accordingly to the account size, because it is a mental thing that I think people just automatically associate. 50K account, I have 50K to lose, or 100K or so forth. If you look at your end of day drawdown, and it doesn't matter if you're even still with Take Profit or any other, I think Apex, they have trailing drawdown as well. But if you look at your end of day drawdown, your trailing drawdown, whatever is your max drawdown, max loss for the day, that account size is literally the most important thing, in my opinion, when it comes to your strategy, because everything from a risk to reward standpoint needs to be built off of that in mind. So I don't care if you're dealing with micros, minis, your risk to reward, get in at key levels of liquidity. I don't care if you're targeting, you're doing trend lines, you're doing supply and demand, support and resistance. Guys, all of these patterns, all of these strategies are one and the same. We are going to move based on volume, based on liquidity, based on order flow. What that essentially means is there's levels on a chart that price will more often than not react to. You can have a trading plan that will target the trade into one of those zones or from one of those zones. Manage your risk, manage your emotions, have a strategy that you can remain consistent with, and more importantly, look at all of these prop firms in a space to where your end of day drawdown is your account size. Have that plan based on that, and the sky's the limit. Hopefully, this video has provided some insight, some tips, has been helpful. If you haven't already, make sure to smash the like button. If you're not already subscribed, consider subscribing. A lot more to come. The journey is, we've been on the journey, but I still have to say the journey is just getting started. It's possible for me, it's possible for you. Level up your mind, level up your mentality, level up your trading. More importantly, level up your life. Other than that, we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.